Hey, if you're like me, you probably know what yoga is from catching some clips on YouTube, maybe seeing one or two videos on Instagram. But what do you actually know about yoga? Me, not so much. Well, let's learn some more as we welcome our next guest on C Squared Cocktails and Conversations. I'm James Okungu. Grab a cocktail. Let's get in the conversation. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you on the show. Let's start by just hearing a little bit about yourself. Could you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background as a yoga instructor?
Yeah, sure. So I've been teaching yoga for about 3 years right now, and over the years, the teaching and practice of yoga has been slowly helping me to transform my life, whether it's from my diet, my lifestyle, or the way I view the world. It's been changing so much. So today I'm happy to just be here and share a little bit about my story.
Thank you very much for joining us. Today I chose a very healthy cocktail of orange juice and ginger ale because we're talking about wellness. So I want to keep it healthy and wellness conscious all the way. Susan, you have a very interesting story, and I couldn't wait to get you on the show. Right. So you've been a yoga instructor. Let's just start from that. Yoga. Like I know at least every single person on the street has had about yoga, but if somebody was to ask you who was an expert, just explain to me like I'm a 3-year-old, what is yoga?
Well, yoga, many people, when we think about yoga, we think yoga is this physical exercise. It's to make us flexible, make us stronger. But to me, I think to go into the deeper teaching of yoga, yoga is a whole lifestyle. It's a philosophy. It's how we live the life day by day. Of course, there are different systems. Most often in the Western, when we learn about yoga, we learn from the Patanjali's eight limbs of yoga, from the physical asanas, from the social conduct we should be following, so that we can stay in harmony with each other, with ourselves, to the more advanced breathing techniques, concentration techniques, and ultimately to how do we realize who we truly are as the goal of yoga. But I think to make it simple, yoga, this word itself, it comes from the word of yoke. Yoga means to unite. So I think ultimately for me, yoga means to unite with who I truly am, unite with one another, and ultimately unite with the ultimate source of what's making up this world, the spiritual sources. Yeah.
Spirituality and yoga seem to go side by side, as just you've touched on. Did you grow up like a spiritual person, or what drew you to want to get into the world of yoga?
No, not at all. I was raised as an atheist. I think the closest I got to become spiritual was when I was probably 14 or 15. I went to a leadership academy, and it was a summer camp. I really loved everyone. People were so loving, and turned out it was a Christian summer camp. And when I got back, I told my mom and dad, I was like, Mom and Dad, I want to be a Christian. Those people, they're so loving, they're so kind. I want to be just like them. And my dad was like, maybe you should think about it, look into it, do a little bit of research. And after that, I was like, okay, I think I just like the people. But from that age, I think I always knew there's so much more than just this three-dimensional, this material world. There's so much more. Whenever there's anything like something really important, I have a big desire I want to manifest, I will always pray to a God that I didn't know what form is, what a name was, but I knew there was a higher power that's connecting me, and it always answered my prayers. So even though before yoga I wouldn't say I was religious, but I always believed there's a spiritual realm that's beyond my understanding. And that's probably why when I slowly started to get into yoga, at first it was through the physical practice. Of course, like most of us, when we go to a yoga class, I just want to look better. And also because it was easy for me. When I was a kid, I was a dancer, so it's easier to get into those stretches. And it gave me the confidence. Maybe it was the false ego, maybe it was something else, but it made me feel like, oh, I feel good after taking a class. And as I started to go into the practice and teaching a little bit more and more, I started to see the physical poses, they were just a way for us to prepare the body. So we're able to sit in stillness. So we're able to go deeper into the meditation, start to really contemplate why am I in this world? What does it mean for me to be a human? Am I Susan? Am I a female? Am I of a certain age? Am I a particular, let's say, professions or all those labels put on myself, or am I something else? And
So,
yes,
sorry. So
yeah, go ahead.
someone listening to you and say, "Wow, I really do identify with Susan. This is incredible because I don't consider myself very spiritual. I do want the benefits of yoga, but I have in my mind that yoga is for a certain kind of people, people who live a certain kind of lifestyle. I don't buy into the spiritual stuff. That's not really me. But I really want to get to yoga. What did you say to such a person? You have to be really, people say, oh, you have to be really deep to be and zen. That's not really me. Maybe yoga is not for me. What do you say to such a person?
I would say if you're a human being and you're breathing right now, you're practicing yoga. So again, yoga means unite. Every single day, we're already experiencing so many different, different union of this world. If you're breathing, that's when your heartbeat and your breath they're meeting each other. Right now, I'm sitting here. My teacher always says, as I'm sitting here, my glutes and my couch, they're doing yoga. They're uniting. So from a more physical level, I think very often people think I have to be flexible, I have to be strong, I have to be a certain shape to be able to practice yoga. But yoga is so much deeper than that. As long as you're especially I think to answer your question, JJ, as you're trying to question and answer, who am I? There's something more to it. Then you're already on the path of yoga. There are different ways we label it in this world. Maybe some call it religious, maybe some call it philosophy, but ultimately it's all the same practice. We're just putting on different lenses as we're looking at them.
Oh, that's very interesting. So, how has your life changed? Being raised an atheist, discovering yoga, training to be a yogi, and now this many years into it, what transformations have happened in your life?
Well, honestly, the transformations they're constantly happening even to this day. It's not I would say it's more of a journey, a process rather than just one day I wake up and decided I'm going to be a yogi. I'm still aspiring to live a yogi lifestyle. I will share that for me, the very beginning of my transformation started when I did my yoga teacher training. That's almost 4 years ago now. When I went into the training, I told myself, whatever happens here, I'll just be open to it. I'll give it a try. Maybe it's completely different from what I was expecting, but I'm going to try to be open and see what I can take from it. And to my surprise, JJ, you might remember because we've been friends for many years, I was a lifelong carnivore. I refused to eat any veggies ever. And somehow after the first weekend of my yoga teacher training, I started to question about my lifestyle. I think it was one thing one of my teachers said. She was saying, if you really want to follow the different teachings of yoga, one of the very big principle is called ahimsa, nonviolence. If you want to practice violence, then are you okay to still eat that hamburger? Where did that hamburger come from? So after that, I also read a lot about yoga and vegetarianism. And right after the first weekend, I decided I'm going to go vegan hardcore from a lifelong meat eater to completely letting that go because it was the first time I started to make connection between the things I eat, the things I do with where they come from, with the consequences. And I think from that point, my heart started to soften a lot. My mind started to clear, and along the way, I made many other lifestyle changes. I was able to eventually not. It wasn't really a conscious choice, but eventually I stopped drinking a few years ago. I stopped drinking coffee, which also was a big thing for me. When we were in grad school, I used to drink like I don't know 3 4 coffee plus another energy drink. But yeah, slowly those things were substituted or just letting go over time. And I also started to get up a little bit earlier, rising with the sun, start to spend more time going inwards rather than always chasing what's outside of me, trying to be happy. And as a result, I think I feel a lot more at peace, and I start to recognize this peace comes from inwards. No material needs or desires can actually help me to find that sense of contentment.
For somebody watching this and thinking that sounds really nice, I want what you're having. I want a double shot of that, on the rocks. I want to find that happiness, this connectedness. But yoga doesn't seem to me, correct me if I'm wrong, to be like a magic pill. Like, oh, I'm gonna start doing yoga 3 times a day. I'm gonna be zen. I'm gonna give up, all these bad habits I have, right? What you have to how much of effort does somebody have to put in once they make the decision that they want that, tranquility in their life, and they see yoga as a way that can help? Is it like you really have to go in with this is gonna be a lot of work, or is this just something that happens? Ooh,
That's a very good question. You're absolutely right. Yoga or any format of lifestyle changes, I don't think there's one magic pill for anyone. Of course, look for what's best for you. And yes, it takes a lot of work. It's not like I'm going to yoga 3 times a day for a week and suddenly my life changes. I don't crave that hamburger anymore. But rather, you have to change from your consciousness. Ultimately, when we practice yoga, what we do is we want to start to evolve consciously. We want to start to expand our consciousness. And one thing my teacher shared with me recently, actually, it really helped me to understand why I eventually stopped drinking alcohol just naturally. That happened. So my teacher was saying everything we do, everything that's existing in this material world, it's all of different frequency of vibrations. Even though this wall behind me, it might look like solid, but it's also made of different elements and it's at a certain vibration. So when we drink alcohol, it's the same thing. When I'm drinking alcohol, alcohol is made of plant. They have a very particular frequency. And when I intake it, it starts to change my consciousness and make me feel maybe lighter, less stressed. Maybe it make me feel happy for a moment. But those things, they don't last forever. And of course, we all know there are a lot of different not so good side effects that comes with any substitutes that we're taking. But over time, as we start to do more inner work, when I start to meditate more, when I start to do physical asana of yoga, the physical poses to purify the physical body, to quiet the mind, I'm able to slowly change the frequency of my body, of my mind, of my being. And over time, I just didn't feel like I needed alcohol to help me to calm down, to help me celebrate, to help me, ease any pain or anything. So slowly it was, for me, at least with alcohol, it was a slow process. It was something just one day I realized, oh, I haven't had a drink for a few months and I really don't miss it. Yeah, yoga is no magic pill. No, I don't think any single tool or technique can just change your life like that. It takes a long time and it takes your determination. If you want to change, and you put it into that work, if you have that determination, if you have that willpower to help you go on this journey, then I believe it will happen for every one of us. Yeah.
I bet you there's somebody listening and saying, "Oh, James, Susan, you guys don't know what cocaine can do for somebody. Oh, you guys don't know what weed can do. Oh, I get Zen every day. All I need is a few, puffs of this, a few snips of this." Is there a connection, if any, to yoga and exploring this world using other substances, be it drugs of any kind of variety, or other tools apart from alcohol, that say people like, "I stress, my life is so stressed, but this gets me there. I am so peaceful once I have this. You don't even recognize me. I feel connected to the world. I'm not a yoga. I'm not a yogi even.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. Personally, when I was younger, I've also experienced with drugs, with alcohol, with different substitutes that help me to feel connected or help me to, again, expand the consciousness. Sometimes when I'm on something, then I feel like, wow, I can see things differently, like literally seeing it differently. But again, that doesn't last for long. And that's how addiction happens. When we start to have a glimpse of that experience and I want more. But if I'm not able to create myself, what do? I reach out to the thing that helped me to have that experience again and again, and then slowly I become dependent on that. But I believe with yoga and meditation, it's possible to reprogram the way we think, the way our bodies, our mind works, so that over time, maybe not one night, maybe not overnight, one day I decided to do a meditation and suddenly I'm not dependent on anything I've been on for years anymore. Um, Also, I think one thing is, like you mentioned, many times we reach out to those things, we take those things because we're constantly stressed. And yoga and meditation teaches us relaxation is such a need in this world because we are storing so much tension in our bodies, on our minds, mentally, emotionally, physically. Every single one of us, we are all stressed living in this material world. And even when we go to bed at night, there are different stages of the brain waves when we go through when we go to sleep. But for the most part, we don't actually stay in the part where the brain wave drops to the alpha wave. Yogis call it the Turiya state, and scientists also recognize that's when the brain wave drop into the alpha wave, when you truly start to experience relaxation and start to heal. Most of us, we go to bed, what do? We escape. We escape from whatever that's bothering us in the life. We escape from whatever things that's burdening us, we're consciously be anxious about for just a few hours. And then because of those tension that's probably stored in our subconsciousness, even when we go to bed, we dream. In those dreams, those things, those thoughts, those issues, they come up again. And when we wake up, we have that nightmare, not necessarily even nightmare, sometimes a very intense dream. Then I become more stressed. So how do we really find a way to consciously relax and de-stress? I think that's actually more important than really figuring out whether it's yoga, meditation, going for a run, going for a workout can transform my life. It's really coming from starting by relaxing, letting go. Then we can rebuild our consciousness. Then we can once again expand it, explore it, raise the vibrations.
Lots of good conversations here, cocktails and conversations. Susan, as we wind down, two questions for you. Somebody wants to get into yoga. They're like, how do I train to be a yogi? All right. How do I get started? You know, I'm committed. I want this for myself. How do you get started? How did you get started? And then secondly, for somebody on the other end who's like interested in practicing, there's YouTube, there's all these materials, there's applications and everything, but they want to go into studio, you know, but they're like, how do I know my instructor is teaching me the right way? How do I know this guided yoga session is actually being guided well according to the principles of yoga? How do I identify a good session, a good train, a good place to train? What did you say to that?
That's two very good questions. I think first off, if you're opening to start practicing yoga, for me personally, I started with the physical practice. Then later on, I went into study more about the philosophies of the other aspects of yoga. So I would say first go to a yoga physical class, go to a yoga class, see how that feels in your body. At least probably, hopefully for that 1 hour, maybe for 5 minutes, your mind is quiet. Then you can experience that just little bit, maybe can keep you going, keep you motivated. And again, how to know that the teacher I'm going to, the studio I'm going to is legit. I think very often yogis believe we are all spiritual souls. We're just temporarily living in different bodies, being covered by different layers. And ultimately, our souls knows what's real. And if you go to a teacher, if you go to a yoga class and the teacher is constantly dropping F-bombs, then you know maybe this might not be, it might be a modern day yoga teacher. They might have very advanced physical poses, but maybe they're not necessarily living the life principle of a yogi. Yeah, I would say always maybe try to explore different yoga studios. For me too, when I started to practice in yoga more seriously about, I would say probably like 6 years ago, that's when I started to go more regularly. I first went to many different studios. I explored. Some of them, they were great, and I was getting the physical benefits, but I didn't start to experience this transformation until I felt connected with a couple of studios I ended up going, and now I serve at those studios because it's the philosophy, it's the spiritual aspects of those yoga studios that really touch my heart. And for you, it might be different. So try out different things, explore, and see what feels right for you. And yeah, I hope that helps.
Totally does help. And for you, how did you get started?
How do I get started?
Right.
I think my first yoga class ever, it was when I was in college. I took it because my cheerleading coach was teaching a class and she gave me a good grade even when I didn't attend classes. That was my first experience in yoga. And back then, honestly, I didn't feel like, oh, that's something I want to do every day for the rest of my life. And I forgot about it for many years until when I was, yeah, I think it was a few years when I moved to New York, and at some point it's like, okay, I'm getting older, so I need to do some physical exercise. I don't like running. I don't like going to the gym. Yoga seems to be easy. You're stretching, you're breathing, and seemed to be a good way to start. So I started looking up different studios, start to try those practice. Yeah.
Good stuff. Susan, as we wind up, if you had 15 seconds to talk to somebody who's interested in yoga but doesn't know anything about yoga, has heard about it, wants to get started, is interested, but has a lot of misconceptions about it, what would you say to such a person?
I would say if you're interested, you're already on the path of yoga. Give it a try, whether it's from your breathing technique, pranayama, from changing your way of living, or going to a physical yoga class. Start from there, start small, having conversations with people that you feel that's inspiring you. Maybe one teacher you really like them, get advice from them, and see how that goes.
Wow. Thank you so much. This has been really insightful. Thank you very much, Susan, for joining us on Cocktails and Conversations. Let's hope we come again and let's do this again sometime.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. This has been Cocktails and Conversations. I'm James Akungu. Have a good one.